Hi, Sarah here with a layout process video for UK Scrap Addicts creative team. This month we're focusing on mixed media. So I've decided to do a bit of a silhouette of this little cat here. I'm going to do a bit of a rainbow acrylic paint background behind it. So first off, I just hand drew a cat and just I tried to make it more kitteny, so a little bit smaller, big head and that. And I just cut it out to make this sort of mask, and then I've just put removable adhesive underneath it so that it stays stuck down a little bit better as I'm smudging my paint over the top. You could always just print out a picture of a silhouette of whatever thing you wanted to paint over and do it that way. You don't have to hand draw anything really. And I'm just using, these paints are Prima Impasto paints. They're heavy bodied acrylic paint, so you can smudge them around and add water, but once they're dry they're permanent, they don't reactivate with water. And all I'm doing is going through a rainbow of colours that match in with the papers I'm using. I'm using mostly bits from mine, the scrap kit from last year, so I will link that shop below as well. And although this looks like a pale pink, it actually is a raspberry brighter pink colour, but it's just the camera at the moment. The lighting does improve a bit later on. And I'm literally just going over the whole thing, smudging the colours together to create a rainbow, and then as you can see here I just peel it off and there I have my little kitty cat. There's bits that have smudged over, but I'm not going to worry about that, and I'll show you a bit later on how I will fix those. I just rubbed off the adhesive from the inside of that silhouette as well, where a little bit of the glue stuck, but it was removable so it came off really easily. Now, because some of the paints are a bit sort of thicker than others of these I've found, so I'm just filling in a few little gaps here and there, and then just adding a few splashes of colour. I do this a lot. I've done this in quite a few different layouts where I just add some extra splashes of the colour that coordinates with the paint further across the page, and I just do this all the way down, just filling in any gaps that I think need filling in, and then adding a little splash of colour of each one. In hindsight, I wish I'd done a little bit more splashes, because I do end up adding my paper cluster over the top of it, so I should have just gone right to the edge and added a bit more, I think, but you live and learn. So next up I am going to work on my paper cluster. I think there's my picture that's off my kitten. He's now quite chunky. He's a good 6 months plus now. Oh, there he is, right on cue. He's always jumping up on my desk. But this was when he was super tiny. We'd only just got him. He was very, very small because he was a little orphan kitty. So he'd had to be hand reared, and he's a bit mad, a bit of a crazy one. There he is saying hi. And so here I am just adding my rainbow paper. This is how I based my colour scheme, so that it would fit quite well with that rainbow there. And then I'm just ruffling up the edges of that paper, and I'll also add that white behind my photo, just so that it pops up against all the bright colours I'm adding behind it, so that it just stand out slightly. And I'm just trimming off a few different papers here, which I'll layer behind it, and each one I just ruffle the edges with the scissors. And one of them's even got little catacorns, like little unicorn kittens on it, which I thought was quite cute and in keeping with the layout as well. So for a bit of texture here, I'm just going to add some tulle. I've just folded it in 3 and then trimmed it off on the edges to make 3 pieces, and then use staples to stick those pieces together, and then I'll glue it all together afterwards. I'm just grabbing some thin foam here. What I do is I just use pieces between each layer, leaving a nice big gap around the edge, so that if I want to tuck any embellishments in or change things around, it makes it a lot easier for me to switch things about, because it tends to peel up quite easily and it's nice and easy to tuck embellishments in. And I'm putting them on a slight angle. I don't tend to do things perfectly even. I like things to be a little bit haphazard because I like a lot of messy mixed media, so I tend to do messy layers on my paper clusters nowadays as well. And I do like to add lots of dimension between the layers. I only use these thin pieces, so overall it's only about the equivalent of a double layer of a normal thickness of foam tape, but because I want to add it between each layer, I just use these nice thin pieces. And one final one for the very back, and then I just need to choose where I'll put that. I do end up moving the whole thing up slightly afterwards, but this is the general gist of how I pieced it together. There were some washies also in the Mind Scrap kit that I used that came with the, I think it was the July or August. So I'm just adding some of that. And then the cat and the cute title are very, very, very old, and they have been in my stash for so long, and I've been waiting for an opportunity to use them where they match the colours, because they're yellow. They only go with certain things, so I was looking forward to using these, so I finally managed to do that. Just stuck down a little house puffy sticker and then a cardstock one, as well as a date bit that I'll fill in later, some tiny word stickers, a few extra embellishments there, another puffy sticker at the top, and then I had 2 sparkly hearts also from just older kits. Now I'm grabbing from older Mind the Scrap kits just to add a few extra embellishments. I love these enamel dots. They're the matte surfaced ones, so they don't have a sheen. They've got a lovely texture to them, and I think they're nice and different from the usual shiny ones. Now here is my solution to me going over the edge on my silhouette. I could have just left it, to be honest. It didn't bother me that much, but seeing as I had this pen, it's a paint pen, so and it's an acrylic pen, so I think it's acrylic anyway. Don't quote me on that. Almost sure it is. And so it goes over the top, so I can just neaten up the edges there. And then finally, I felt like it needed some white all over it because there's a lot of white in my paper cluster, but not on the actual background. So I just add in some white splashes just to tie it all together as a finishing touch. And I thought I'd get a cute little starry effect over the little kitten silhouette as well. So that's me done. Thanks for joining me today. Please make sure you check out everyone's layouts this month, and please join in, have a go at some of them, and we'll see you for the next video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to check out more of my videos, I'll leave my personal YouTube channel in a link below. Bye.